What if I told you the reason people stopped respecting you has nothing to do with your age, your money, or your past mistakes, but with the silent compromises you've been making for years? What if the real theft of your authority didn't happen at work, or in your marriage, or in society, but inside your own mind? Most men over 45 believe respect fades because the world favors the young. They think control slips because responsibilities multiply. They blame the economy, their boss, their spouse, their grown children, or bad luck. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Respect erodes the moment a man abandons self-command. And self-command is not loud, it's not flashy, it's not about dominance. It's about inner authority so solid that no one doubts it, not even you. Somewhere along the line, you got tired. You started negotiating with standards you once swore you'd never lower. You tolerated small acts of disrespect. You laughed off subtle dismissals. You said it's fine when it wasn't. You postponed difficult conversations. You avoided conflict to keep the peace. And slowly, almost invisibly, control slipped through your fingers. Not because you're weak, not because you're old, but because you forgot the Stoic principle that built empires and shaped unshakable men for centuries. You control your mind, or your mind controls you. There was a man named David, 48, once sharp, decisive, respected in his field. In his 30s, people sought his opinion. In his early 40s, he still commanded rooms without raising his voice. But somewhere between career fatigue and family pressure, he began doubting himself. He started over-explaining. He apologized for decisions he had every right to make. He hesitated before speaking. His posture changed before his words did. And the world noticed. Not consciously, but instinctively. Because respect is not negotiated. It's sensed. When David walked into meetings now, colleagues interrupted him. Younger employees challenged him with subtle condescension. At home, his teenage son ignored his instructions. His wife made plans without consulting him. He felt invisible in rooms he once led. He blamed generational shifts. He blamed stress. He blamed everything except the only variable he could command, his response. That is where Stoicism begins. Not with external control, but with internal sovereignty. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That line is not philosophical decoration. It is a weapon, because the moment you internalize it, you stop waiting for respect and start embodying it. The Stoic way is not about shouting louder, it's about becoming unmovable. And here's what most men over 45 never hear. Aging does not reduce power, it concentrates it, if you refine it. Youth relies on energy. A Stoic man relies on clarity. Youth competes. A Stoic man commands. Youth seeks validation. A Stoic man seeks alignment with principle. The world doesn't disrespect older men because they're older. It tests them to see if they still stand firm. So how do you reclaim respect and control? First, you eliminate emotional leakage. Watch most men who feel disrespected. Their frustration leaks through sarcasm, passive aggression, long explanations, defensive tones. Stoicism demands discipline of reaction. When someone challenges you, you pause. When someone provokes you, you breathe. When someone dismisses you, you respond with measured certainty, not heat. Emotional steadiness unsettles those who expect chaos. It signals authority without announcement. David learned this the hard way. One afternoon in a meeting, a younger manager interrupted him mid-sentence. The old David would have snapped or gone quiet. The Stoic David did something different. He stopped speaking. He looked directly at the manager. He waited. Silence stretched. The room shifted. Then he calmly said, "I wasn't finished." No anger, no apology, just fact. And he continued. That moment changed more than the meeting. It changed perception. Because control is visible in how you handle interruption. Second, you tighten your standards. Respect follows standards the way shadows follow light. If you tolerate lateness, people arrive late. If you tolerate sarcasm, sarcasm multiplies. If you tolerate being last on your own priority list, everyone else puts you there too. Stoicism teaches that virtue, discipline, courage, temperance, wisdom is the highest good. Not comfort, not approval. Virtue. A man over 45 who sharpens his habits becomes formidable. He wakes up when he says he will. He trains his body. He dresses deliberately. He speaks directly. He stops gossip. He limits alcohol. He manages finances with clarity. These are not cosmetic upgrades. They are signals. To yourself first, to others inevitably. People treat you according to the standards you enforce silently. Third, you detach from validation. This is where many men stumble. They want respect, but they also want to be liked. Stoicism draws a hard line. Being liked is pleasant, being respected is powerful, and you cannot chase both simultaneously. When you stop adjusting your opinions to avoid discomfort, something strange happens. You may lose shallow approval, but you gain weight in your words. David practiced this at home. When his son rolled his eyes at a request, David didn't escalate, he didn't yell, he didn't argue. He simply said, "I expect this done by 6. Then he walked away. No lecture, no debate. The task was done by 6. Because calm expectation carries more authority than emotional pleading. If this is hitting you right now, if you recognize yourself in these moments, pause and hit the like button, not for the algorithm, but as a commitment to yourself that you're done negotiating your own authority. Let's continue. Fourth, master your body language. Stoics understood that the body reflects the mind. Shoulders back, movements deliberate, eye contact steady, speech slower than average. When you rush, you signal uncertainty. When you fidget, you signal doubt. When you over-explain, you signal fear of rejection. Control your pace, control your breath, control your posture. You control perception. This isn't manipulation, it's alignment. Fifth, practice strategic silence. The older you get, the less you need to prove. Younger men argue to establish dominance. Stoic men observe, calculate, and respond only when necessary. Silence makes others reveal themselves. It makes your eventual words carry impact. In one conversation, David's colleague attempted to bait him into office politics. Instead of engaging, David listened, nodded, and said, "I'll consider that." He never did. But he never created an enemy either. Control often means refusing to play games disguised as conversations. Sixth, audit your inner dialogue. The greatest disrespect often comes from within. Men over 45 carry invisible narratives. I'm behind. I wasted time. I should be further. I'm not as sharp as I used to be. Stoicism demands ruthless awareness of thought. When a limiting belief surfaces, you interrogate it. Is this fact or fear? Is this rational or emotional residue? You replace self-pity with responsibility. Not harshness, responsibility, because a man who respects himself radiates it. 7. Choose voluntary discomfort. Comfort softens edges. Discipline sharpens them. Cold showers, hard workouts, difficult conversations, early mornings, financial restraint. Every voluntary hardship reminds you that you are still capable, and capability breeds confidence. Confidence commands respect without demand. 8th, redefine control. Many men equate control with dominance over others. Stoicism defines it as mastery over self. You cannot control your boss. You cannot control your adult children. You cannot control markets or aging, but you can control preparation, reaction, character. And here is the paradox. When you focus entirely on self-mastery, external control increases naturally. People trust steady men. They follow composed men. They defer to principled men. David didn't force his family to respect him. He became consistent, predictable in values, firm in boundaries, calm in storms. His wife began consulting him again, not because he demanded it, but because his presence regained gravity. 9th, eliminate resentment. Resentment is delayed weakness. It festers, it leaks through tone, it poisons leadership. Stoicism advises radical acceptance, not passive surrender. Acceptance. You accept what has happened, you extract the lesson, you move forward. No replaying arguments at midnight, no silent grudges, just clarity. 10th, build a code and live by it publicly. A personal constitution. What do you stand for? What do you refuse? What behaviors do you never tolerate? From yourself first. Write it down. Review it weekly. This becomes your compass when emotions surge. When a man has a code, decisions become faster. Doubt decreases. Others feel the certainty. Reclaiming respect after 45 is not about reinventing yourself. It's about returning to the disciplined version of you that existed before compromise diluted him. Think back to when you were younger and hungry. You trained harder. You tolerated less. You spoke clearer. The Stoic way does not romanticize youth. It refines maturity. It removes noise. It sharpens focus. And here's the final shift. Stop seeing aging as decline. See it as strategic advantage. You've seen cycles, you've survived failure, you've endured humiliation, you've tasted success. That accumulated experience filtered through Stoic discipline becomes wisdom. And wisdom is rare. Rare commands respect. Imagine walking into any room knowing that regardless of outcome, you remain steady. Imagine responding to disrespect with composure so unsettling that the offender recalibrates instantly. Imagine your family sensing a renewed firmness, not harsh, not distant, but grounded. That transformation does not require wealth, it requires internal order. And internal order begins today, not next year. David's turning point wasn't dramatic, it was quiet. A decision one morning to stop apologizing for existing, to stop shrinking in conversations, to stop outsourcing confidence. Over months, subtle changes compounded. He read daily, trained consistently, reduced complaints to zero, set boundaries calmly, and the world adjusted. Because the world always adjusts to a man who adjusts himself first. The Stoics never promised comfort. They promised strength. They never guaranteed admiration. They guaranteed self-respect. And ironically, when a man achieves self-respect, external respect follows like an echo. So if you're over 45 and feeling invisible, understand this. Invisibility is not imposed, it's permitted. Withdraw permission. Stand straighter, speak slower, decide faster, complain less, train harder, expect more from yourself before anyone else, and watch how quickly perception shifts. The Stoic way is not loud, it is relentless, it is daily, it is forged in small decisions repeated without drama. And when you commit to it, you don't just reclaim respect, you redefine it. You become the calm center in chaotic environments, the steady voice in emotional storms, the disciplined presence in distracted rooms. That is control. That is authority. That is the quiet power of a man who governs himself. If this message resonated, if you're ready to operate from principle instead of emotion, then like this video, subscribe to the channel for more Stoic mastery designed for men who refuse to fade quietly. Turn on the notifications bell so you never miss the next lesson. Share this with a man who needs to hear it. And in the comments, tell me the one standard you're raising starting today. Your next chapter does not begin with force. It begins with self-command. And once that is reclaimed, respect is no longer requested. It is inevitable.